keep twisting people's rubber arms, and eventually they just kind of cave in. They're like, screw it, whatever. Let's just get this over with.
Mm-hmm.
So really appreciate this, taking the
Oh
time to
yeah.
do this.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a great time.
No kidding, right? So, there's just two quick things before we get into it, whatever I had planned to talk about. But I've been purposely fighting my sleep all day, so
Mhm.
I stayed up. I think I may have like took like maybe like a half an hour nap, but I
Oh,
just like napped out of it. And because what I want to do is what I want to do, especially on my time off, is
mm,
sleep overnights. And obviously,
yeah,
because I work overnights, it's almost like my body's just. If I'm up during the day, my body's just like, "What the hell are you doing?"
yeah,
So,
right.
um, yeah, I had just had some caffeine, so I'm still okay. I'm still somewhat awake.
Well,
I'm
why?
here,
I
but
got
my
you.
mind might just be gone.
Yeah, that's fair. Understandable.
Um, so my phone wasn't dying, but what I did was this is like right redneck. I have it plugged in, and then I have it sitting on like a giant roll of tape. It's like the Gorilla tape.
Yep.
So I have my charger sneaking in through that, and then to balance my phone, I just put my water bottle in behind it, so hands
Nice.
free.
Hey, it works. Whatever works
I
for you,
know
right?
that. Yeah, exactly. I know that my phone, and it's crazy to think, like especially phones nowadays, they die so fast.
Oh yeah, 100%. Mine's already at like halfway, but I should be okay to make it through.
One thing I thought was crazy was I don't know if you ever recall seeing them, but obviously I do because I'm old. But they had like the old flip phones, and you could have those things off the charger for like a week, and it might be like
Oh
halfway
shit.
down. The batteries would last forever on those things. It was nuts.
Nope. Anything I
No,
had, it dies within like if leave it for like a day or two, it's still gonna die probably.
this is going to make me sound really old, but I remember when I used to have a flip phone. If you were texting someone, obviously nowadays you get a keyboard, so you can just easily fire a message away, whatever it
Yep.
is. But this is how old I am. Is that so? I don't know if you ever recall seeing, but like on the number or on the like the dial pad, there used to be
Yep.
letters for
The
each
A B
number. So I
C,
think
you
like
gotta click
two
it.
was like A, B, C, D, F, and went all the way to Z.
Oh.
So if I was trying to type the letter or S, I think that was the number seven. I think it was
Mhm.
like PQRS. So you had to press the number seven four times just in order to get that letter. And then you have to wait for it to blink. And then if you were doing T, I think that was eight. And then obviously
Oh
if you spelled the
jeez.
wrong thing, you had to I'm pretty sure there was a back button to do that. So just imagine how difficult it was to try to
Yeah.
send a message. It would probably take you half an hour just to say hello.
Yeah, that's so I mean, I'm glad we, modernized and got a little bit quicker in that because yeah, that's stupid. It's like it takes you 17 presses just to say hi.
Yeah. Yeah. And then this is going to make me sound ancient, but obviously, like, you have, like, I feel like house phones are a thing of the past. I know people probably still have them or buy them, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I remember being at my grandparents' place, and this would have been like in the mid 90s or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And this is how old I am. Was I don't know if you ever seen those phones where it was like yeah, it was like a circle for the dial pad, and
Yeah,
if you
okay.
wanted to do a nine, you put your finger in the hole and it like
Yeah,
to
the
that
rotary
number, and then it
phones.
would go all the way back.
Yeah.
And the one thing that was probably a piss off for anybody was that if you missed one number, unlike you and I going onto our phone, if we type a wrong number, we can do a backspace. You had to
Mhm.
hang up, dial all over again. So just imagine if you hit the eight by instead of
Oh,
a
damn.
nine or nine instead of an eight or something like that. That would have been uh, very painful to say the least.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Again, I'm just glad we got more modernized because, like, thank God we just backspace. Everything's a button now. Everything's just not even buttons. It's just touch the screen. You don't even anywhere you touch it works. They stupid proofed it.
Now, I feel that they've made phones idiot proof for only this reason is that I could not tell you anybody's phone number. I have them all saved as their name. That's it.
Yep.
So if someone were to say, "Hey, or what's this person's phone number?" I don't know.
I don't know. Let me
I
check
could,
my phone.
yeah, exactly. Let me just click their name, and then I can hear them on the other line.
Yep, exactly. I'll ask them. That's
And
how it
I
works.
feel so dumb because like I've changed my phone number a couple of times, but
Mhm.
anytime someone asks me for my phone number, it's always hold on a second, click. go into my information, look up my phone number, and it's like, okay, this is what my number is. But I remember like before, I could remember every number off the top of my head.
Mhm.
But like it's like somehow we evolved from that. We're in like the lazy stage. And it's just like, okay, well, if you say this person's number under that name, boom, just click their name and then you can call them anytime.
Right.
Before it was like, okay, 1780, blah blah blah, blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah, whatever your bar or area code was. So it's just so wild to think that we've come this far.
Oh yeah, no. Like I think I remember. I only know my parents. That's it. I can only remember theirs and my own because I have to remember it. Because if I don't, I'm screwed. But no, it's so annoying. I can't remember anything. I don't know anyone's number for like work. I always have to look up. Like if I'm ever calling in for like sick or anything, I always have to look up the number.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like I can never remember anything. So
No,
yeah,
it's wild. But I mean, this is the age we're in, and like, if it's this easy now, just imagine how much easier, how much more advanced it's going to be in like future
oh jeez,
generations. It's going to be. You probably just have to like in the future, they'll probably have like a microchip inside your head, just like dial so and so, boom,
right? Have you
have a
seen
phone
the
call.
goggles people are wearing now, like the Apple whatever, like those goggles, like the whole AR experience stuff?
No,
Honestly, yeah, it's like you wear it and it's like augmented reality. So like you're sitting on the toilet and you have a TV in front of you and you're surrounded by a mountain and you just can do whatever and people are cooking and they have the thing like a TV in the background and like a cookbook and a timer like all set up around them. Like it's so weird. Like people are walking around like that. Like so yeah, microchips are probably like 5 years. Like it's getting
just a
crazy,
matter of time. It, it's going to be like just getting like a booster shot. Just like, boom,
right?
boom, you're done.
It'll be like
It'll just be mandatory to keep checking the chip like every year.
you just gotta go in for date like maintenance. It'll be like checking your car, like, all right, battery check, all right, that's good. Wiring, yeah, you need to do this.
You're good to go. Okay, here's an appointment for next
Yep,
year.
damn it. So you gotta worry about everything. Dental, machinery, like just everything. Is that in benefits?
It's just
Yeah.
so mind blowing of where we're at and how
Mhm.
far, at least from my generation, has come. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Um, I don't know if you grew up with this, but just going back to phone numbers here for a quick sec, is there yellow pages? Did you ever have the yellow pages?
I think we
No.
have one, but I never really used it. Other than like looking through it for people's names. Like, hey, is my name in there? No, our family names. Obviously.
What do you mean my name's not on the mortgage?
What do you come on? I want my name on the mortgage.
This way, if we miss the payment, it'll affect my credit. Come on, guys. Like,
Exactly. This is just
don't
looking
be
for the future, or
selfish.
it'll boost it.
I
This is
want to
all
take
on
the
you.
blame. But I remember like that was like, and I think that I think when I was younger, I think there was like a yearly, like they updated it every year because obviously people move in and out of
Oh
cities and
yeah.
stuff like that. So, but it's just so crazy to think that if you wanted to look something up, now we just got to go on our phones or our devices and just
Right.
click a bunch of buttons. Before you had to literally go through alphabetically to see where this person's number is, or if it was a business, it was on the other side of the yellow pages because they had the
Mhm.
businesses separated from like the house phone numbers,
Yeah.
and it's just crazy to think you spent all that time just to look through this. And then say if you're looking for like a plumber, well, they'd have a whole section of plumbers or plumbing
Oh
companies, and
jeez.
you'd have them all different choices. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one thing I'll never forget. And like, you relied on that for to get phone numbers. But like I
Mhm.
said, nowadays we're spoiled. You just type in a few things on your phone, and boom, you can
Right.
look up whatever you're looking for. But if you
Google
didn't
it.
have yellow pages, you were screwed. Now I have to ask this too: is do you or have you ever used? I'm sure you have probably seen like a phone booth.
Never had to use one. Like I've used like a payphone at places, but never the actual like booth, fold in, any of that stuff. I think they died out like everywhere that I have ever seen. Cause like yeah, they changed them or something.
Man, that thing, and again, I'm just gonna keep sounding old. Every time I bring something up, you're like, I've heard of it, but no, it's just like
Yeah,
well, there's
no, they took
definitely a
everything out.
generation gap here.
Yep.
But I remember going in there, and they also had a phone book, which was obviously very handy. I mean, it only made
Oh
sense.
yeah, nice.
But
I never even thought of that.
they had the little doors, and then you had like your little. So basically, you had your own little privacy, which was nice. But I couldn't tell you the amount of people that would be lined up because they had to make a phone call at that time. And I
Mm,
can't remember if there was a time limit on them. I want to say maybe, but I mean, I think you put in a quarter or something like that to make a
yeah,
phone call.
makes sense.
But it's like I remember seeing them when I was younger, and now I couldn't see. I've passed by so many stores, and like normally they're just outside of like grocery stores or whatever it is,
Yeah,
or on the sidewalk. And I know there's not one where we live. I don't even know if there's any in Edmonton, to be honest with you.
honestly,
But it's just
no.
so crazy to think that you see phone booths on like almost every corner of the
Right.
streets. Now they're just gone.
See, what I pretty sure that like they got rid of them like at some point like in the last few years, like so even like 2017ish. I don't know why that number. Like for some reason, I feel like around then they were just like, yeah, we're done with them. But on that same topic, I went to Calgary like within the last year, and they had like not phones, but like if you needed help, you could like go to like a thing and like it would call and you like I don't know if it was like for RCMP or like da da da, but it was like
Yeah.
almost was like a phone booth type like thing, and it would be like for help. And I'm like, so they just changed to more
Right.
of that kind of thing. Like, is that what happened? Like, it's weird,
I can see that. I mean, if someone has an emergency, it'd be nice to have
right?
them around
I
just
mean,
in
it's
case.
good for that kind of thing if they changed it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember there was a big stink of it in like London when they changed it from the red iconic like all that to like a modern like gray box, and people were losing their shit about the payphone. I'm like, okay. I mean, I would be too. I like the red.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
I kind of like I do have a theme to like these whole things because I do have like other things that I was going to talk about and
Yep.
ask questions as well. But it's kind of pretty much like media and like it's going to be like movie themes kind of things.
Okay.
Um, I may have told you this in person, but I can't remember. Again, my mind is like a goldfish. I could have told you something 10 seconds ago, and then I'd be like, "Hey, guess what?" And tell you the
Hey,
exact same thing again.
hey, it's still good information.
Kind of like Dory. Um,
Exactly.
but I remember growing up. This is back on the East Coast, and they had two different places you could go and rent movies and games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe, like I'm sure, maybe you had a Blockbuster at least.
Yeah,
Did you
I
ever
know
get?
of Blockbuster. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Um,
me, it was Movie Gallery. That was what we had in Devon.
oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember going
nice.
there quite a bit when I was young.
So it was like a local company or something like that,
I don't
or
even remember what it was. Probably a localish company, but yeah, I just remember it was the same kind of idea. You just walk in, they had games lining the shelves. You just walk in, grab it. A week later, you bring it back ish. I don't know the exact date, but yeah, I remember we
yeah.
went in there a few times when I was growing up, and then they got rid of it.
Well,
So
thanks to Netflix, there's no more of those. I mean, I
that
remember
was a
I
great win.
saw this one. I think there's a place in the states they have like one blockbuster,
So
and it's crazy to think. And the one thing that I'll never forget was, yeah, Blockbuster was cool, but when I'm kind of like how you had your own, or sorry, kind of like how you just finished saying how your town had their own little movie store.
mm,
When I was back east, they had a place called Jumbo Video, and
okay,
I'll still remember where it was. I think they have moved it, and I honestly haven't been back east in years. They may have just closed it altogether, but I remember it was downtown, and there was like so many different places around. Like there was like an ice cream shop right beside that, so you could get like
oh
a scoop
geez,
of ice cream, get that. There was like so many different shops around there at the time.
nice.
And when you walk in, there's a giant popcorn machine that's always popping popcorn. They must have just had like endless seeds or something like
Oh
that. So as soon as you go
jeez,
in, you could fill up your bag. If you wanted to get a refill, you could get like 4 or 5, like fill up your bag, and
oh
it was free.
crap,
Yeah, it
awesome.
was nuts, man.
That's
I took
crazy. Like
trust me, I
no
took
way
full
now.
advantage of that. And the cool thing was and I don't know how your store worked. Sorry, I shouldn't say the cool thing. This is very disappointing.
Oh,
Is they'd have the movie cover on the front, and if the disc or the VHS. This is how old I am. I used to watch VHS tapes,
yep.
and if the VHS box wasn't behind it, that means someone rented it, and you obviously have to wait for them to return it. But they're not going
Yeah.
to give out information to say, "Oh, Joe Blow rented this 5 days ago, so in 2 days," they don't leak that information.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that was the big disappointment was they always had the movie cover on the shelf, but if they didn't
Mhm.
have the movie in behind it, you weren't getting it.
Yeah.
So that was the disappointing thing about that. But the cool thing was they also rented games. So if you couldn't find a movie, you could just rent a game. And this
Yeah.
is how old I am. Is I remember you could rent Nintendo 64s. Yes, Nintendo
Ooh.
64s. That is how old I am. And
Oh,
just like
jeez.
any
Yeah.
movie, yeah, you could rent for a week or whatever it was. So
Wow.
yeah, that's pretty wild. And then
Yeah.
I can't remember if you could get a PlayStation, maybe, but I just remember very clearly that they had like because they had used to have Mario and stuff like that for
Oh,
games.
jeez.
So kind of went with Nintendo 64. But yeah,
Damn.
that's how old I am.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, I think there was only discs. Like, I don't even remember there being a VHS in the store I was in. So like,
Yeah. Yep.
wow. I was like, that would have been an awesome place. Like, it would have been cool to just be go somewhere and like, I just want to rent the game. I could beat any
Yeah.
game in, like a day, and then I could return it for $20. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Like,
it was a good time. And that was like pretty much like a Friday ritual, and that was like all like everyone always went there to get that stuff, and then Blockbuster opened up, and they had some pretty.
mhm.
I mean, you couldn't get any snacks and stuff like that, or walk around with snacks, but they always had
Yeah.
stuff you could buy, and I always
Gotcha.
got suckered into it. And then I'll never forget when they went out of business in my hometown, Blockbuster. That was they just had every movie because they couldn't keep it, so they were just selling the ones that you could
Oh,
rent
jeez.
and I ended up buying like a bunch of them. They're like dirt cheap. They're only like a buck or
Nice.
two or something like that, only because they saw that they couldn't get rid. Like they had to get rid of it. It was
Yeah.
like a blowout sale. So
Make a
I mean,
profit.
all those years bringing it back, getting a late fee. The one time I can go in there, not worry about not bringing it back, I can keep it this time. So,
There you go.
um, and
Remember all
this
those
is
things I kept? Yeah, can I just keep them?
yeah, exactly. I'm late, but you guys are going into business, so I'm just going to hang on to the tape. It's
Yeah,
all
I'll just we'll just call it a day.
and they both had a policy when it came to VHS because when it comes to disc, it doesn't matter if you watch the full movie because it automatically goes to the main menu. But with VHS, both Blockbuster and Jumbo, they had a policy saying, "Please be kind and rewind," because you had to rewind the VHS
Oh,
tapes.
yeah.
I'm sure they probably had a machine that could rewind it, but I mean, it just makes their life so much easier if they could just, okay, it's here, put it back on the shelf rather than
Yeah.
rewind it. Probably takes a few minutes. But
Mhm.
I'll say this one other thing too was I remember back in like junior high. This is again going back to VHS tapes, so I'm ancient. Was I used to record TV shows, and the one TV show that I
Oh.
remember recording religiously, and I don't know if you ever watched it, was that '70s show. And
Yep.
of course, once the VHS things went away, we either our machine broke or we gave it away or something.
Yep.
So I remember I know I recorded like the last season. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure I did the season before, but like I had so many tapes that are recorded TV shows, and I'll still never forget that there was a button on the remote. You press the power button and the TV record, and it would record. And yeah, I think you had the option to record at certain times too. So say if
Mhm.
you're missed a movie or something like that, I think you could record it or
Okay.
have the tape recorded at that time. So say if you went out to dinner or something like that, you didn't want to miss the show. So yeah,
Gotcha.
it was pretty much like the TiVo before or like the TiVo of the '90s.
Yep. Dang, that's the fact, like, rewinding, yeah, how do you even, like, rewind it? Like, what do you have to do? Like, do you
There's
get,
a
like, a little
button on
machine?
your well, there yeah, like
Oh,
on
okay.
the well, do you mean at the store
Oh, no, I just meant, like, I completely
in
forgot you
general?
just put it back in the thing and rewind it, the whole thing. I thought you had to,
Yeah,
like, rewind it manually, like, put your finger in and, like, do some weird
no, no,
shit.
no.
I'm like, "Oh, no, you just rewind."
But speaking of rewinding manually, if you don't mind me asking, what was like your first um and again, I'm just gonna sound so old, but like I grew up with like cassettes, CD players, Discmans, Walkmans, and then obviously now you have like your iPads or whatever
Yeah.
else you use. So if you don't mind me asking, what was like the first portable music device you had?
It was no, it was, like, before the iPod. pods or like any of like those little minis like or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like just a little tiny MP3 player. Like you had to like load songs on it from the computer, and then like you would keep it so it was like a little digital thing. So like it wasn't anything. I remember having like maybe 20 songs on there, like Crazy Frog and random stuff. Like it was the weirdest thing. Like yeah, but that was like the first little thing. So no Walkmans, no whatever, but it was still pretty early digital.
Again, like I said, I grew up with the cassette players, and
Yeah.
if your tape got out of whack in your machine, you had to get like a pencil, and you had to twirl because they had two little holes in
Yeah.
the tape player. So you'd have to take your tape or your pencil, and you have to kind of wind it up so you get the tape
Okay.
side of it back. But if it didn't get fixed, or if the tape was just completely all over the place, then it was junk because you couldn't play
Oh
it.
jeez. Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, and then with the tape player, it always came with like say if there was 20 songs on the tape, it'd
Mm.
be 10 on one side and then 10 on the other side.
Okay.
And if you wanted to listen to a specific song, you either had to fast forward it and keep playing or rewind and play because they didn't have like CDs. You could always press
Yeah.
skip and it would go on to the next song. But with tape players, you didn't have the option. You could only fast forward, rewind, and then that's how you'd find the song.
Yeah.
But if the song was on the other side of the tape, you'd have to fast forward your tape, flip the tape around, put it back in your Walkman, then press play,
Oh
and you probably got to
jeez.
press fast forward. Yeah, it was a
Oh, that's
headache
annoying.
to say the least. And
Oh
then
man.
eventually Discmans came on, and then that was the end of the tape player.
Yeah.
And man, I must have had some massive pockets when I was in school because my Discman was probably like that big, and just I know it was a snug fit, but that's the only I couldn't put it in my backpack because my headphones weren't long enough, so I
Oh,
had to
okay.
put it on. Like I had to have it on my person.
Oh man.
If I got lucky and had a sweater, I could obviously just put it in the sweater pocket.
Yeah.
That was fine. But if it was like summertime, or not summertime, but springtime or whatever it
Yeah.
was, yeah, it went right in my jean pocket. But
That's a big ass
yeah,
pocket.
that's how old
That's
I am. Man, the
big.
more
That's
I
big
talk,
of
the
a
more I'm
pocket.
just going to sound like I'm like ancient right now.
That's how coworkers work, man. It's like you got the young, you got the olderish, you got just in between. You just hang out, you just talk.
There we go. Okay, so getting on to the like the media thing and then stuff like that. This is what I was. There's a couple things I wanted to ask you. Was if you had the option, and I feel like I'm sure at some point there's going to be a streaming service that does this. Maybe there already is these the options, but
Mm,
maybe you're the one who told me this. Anyway,
okay.
sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Was if you the customer, I guess, when you're paying for Netflix or whatever streaming that you're paying for,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be cool if you could watch a show and like choose what the actors say or choose what the actors do?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we did talk about this just a little bit. It was like, yeah, just like
Yeah,
a create your own, like choose your own adventure story, but
yeah,
like as a TV show. And yeah, I was like, Netflix did one episode of a thing on there called Bandersnatch, where like you could pick just little things about what happens in the episodes. Like, is he gonna eat breakfast this morning? Is he gonna skip breakfast? Is he gonna interact with this guy or kind of ignore him? Like little things
yeah.
like that, and then it plays out like a mystery. So like if they expanded that in something else, I don't know why that's not more of like a thing because like it's such a cool concept of just pick what happens. Film these 5 different times, and whatever you pick is the one that happens.
And
Oh,
I know yeah, I do remember we had this conversation before because like you could have one outcome, I could have a different one. So like the next day
right,
we meet up, we'd be like, hey, uh, this happened to Roger, and you'd be like, no, this didn't happen to him because he did this instead. So
right,
you could branch out all the different possibilities. Like someone could have the same ending as you, someone could have the complete opposite.
yeah,
Maybe like a character passes away, but maybe someone else chooses for him to do something else and he lives. Like I
right,
just think just having a giant web of options instead of just your standard TV series where it's like, okay, well, I have no control of what happens. They have already killed this character off, or this already happened to that person. But I
Right.
just think that would be a really cool concept. And I mean, if that Netflix show already did it, I guarantee sorry, I shouldn't say I guarantee. I would hope that
Mm.
other streaming services, or if Netflix decides to do something else or do a series, that would really catch on and be very popular.
Right.
Because I just think having an option for a TV show would just be extremely interesting.
Right, and yeah, if you can keep the story going, like different outcomes, and it's like depending on
Yeah,
what people like, different seasons of stuff. Like people could have entirely different shows they're watching, and it caters to the people as well. Like everyone gets a little bit of what they want. Like, hey, I like
yeah,
this character, so I kept him alive. Okay, so now it changes this story for me, and it's like, okay, well, I hate that character. I wanted them gone, so now there's this whole other thing. So it's like technically it would be making everybody happy watching the same show, but it's different. So
yeah,
like it's really good concept and idea. So all right, we
yeah.
gotta get on
And
it. Patent. Copyright right now.
okay, let's get a lawyer, and then
Yeah.
because someone with money is going to come along with this idea, and I'm like, hey, this is my idea. He'll be like, sue me, and I'll be like, damn it.
Fuck. Dang it, he's got the better lawyers. Dang.
So before I get on to this one idea that I thought would be pretty cool for a movie series, I wanted to
Mhm.
ask you a couple of different things. So I know obviously you follow both like Marvel, or you're a fan of Marvel and DC as well.
Yeah.
Um, Getting away from like the main characters now, again, I don't really follow a lot, so again, whatever questions I ask, you could be like, well, they've already done this, or they're
Yeah,
working
yeah.
on this or something like that. But aside from like the main state characters, I guess we'll start in DC because I'm a little bit more familiar with that than Marvel. But like
Okay.
aside from, because like you always see movies about Batman, you always see movies about this character or that character, whatever it was. So if you were given an option, I'm not going to say give me a number like 1 to 5, but like
Mm.
if any character you feel like hasn't been expressed fully in a movie, that they're like the main person, not like a Justice League where you have all the characters in the same movie. But if you could pick one or several characters that
Mm.
they would make their own movie about, who would you want to see? And again, this
Oh.
could be someone bad. It could be someone that's just like barely known. It's
Yeah.
just again just food for thought.
Well, I'll say this. There is one character I've wanted to see just in live action, like in one of the movies, for like ever. And it's Dick Grayson, Nightwing, so like the first Robin for Batman. I've just
Yeah,
wanted to see like him interact with people, like just a Robin show up in the Bat family, like any one of them. I've like that would be like the main one because like a lot of the other characters I've kind of already seen in live action show up. Like I like the main characters. I'll be honest, the Justice League. I'd like to see Green Arrow. I'd like to see Green Arrow show up in a movie. I think he would get a good one because he had a really good TV show, in my opinion. But I'd really like to see him in a movie show up. So Nightwing or Green Arrow would be my two picks just to see him show up.
that would be kind of cool. Now, I think what would be neat would be if they didn't just explore like the good guys. And the reason I say this
Okay.
is because I think uh, it's going to be on HBO or whatever it is that they're
Yep.
doing a series about the Penguin, and it's
Yes.
played by Colin Farrell, I think, from
Yep.
the Batman movie. So I think something like that would be kind of neat. And I mean,
Oh
if they're
yeah.
already doing that, maybe do have plans to do other characters. But I just think it'd be kind of cool to not just explore the good guys all the time or the heroes of the stories. I just think it'd be neat because
Oh yeah.
I always have a soft spot when it comes to like backstories. Because
Yes.
if you just
Oh
see
totally.
someone that's always evil all the time or whatever it is, you just think, oh, they were just born that way and that whatever it is. But you don't realize that the trauma that they've experienced, or maybe they've
Yeah.
had something happen in the past. So I
Hmm.
just think it'd be kind of neat if whether it was a TV series or a movie, if they explored not just the good guys but the bad guys as well.
Oh yeah. Like honestly, it's a real good idea. Like we're getting a lot closer to that. There's been like a few like solo bad guy movies that have come out, like the Joker that came out in like 2019, focused on just the Joker as like a
Yeah,
villain. Sequel to that's coming out this year with Harley Quinn. But, like, I think having, like, it focus on the actual, like, all like, a group of the villains or, like, even, like, some of them in their off time, like, them having something happen where, like, maybe the hero comes in as, like, a side character, and it's like, like say like a Batman thing. So like you have a whole thing about the bad guys, and then the Batman comes in trying to stop their whole thing, and it's like whatever. But not really many have done it good. Like you have your Suicide Squad or your well, they kind of do that, but it'd be cool if they were just villains and they just were doing stuff in their downtime, and it was like, hey, this is why I'm this way. This is my backstory. This is a couple of us, or why we kind of grouped up for this thing. So yeah, I think it would be cool as like a group type scenario.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be kind of cool. And like I
Yeah.
said, if they're already doing the Penguin, maybe they do have other
Right.
plans, or they want to see how this works, how many viewers they get.
Hmm.
So I guess now we're kind of going to kind of flip the script. And again, I know you're probably more familiar with this than I am. Now, when
Yep.
it comes to the Marvel side of things, I know they probably have a ton of movies, but is there any character you feel like they either A, haven't shown a lot of, given them that much attention to, or at all?
Oh, I could say a couple. Like pretty much any of like the things they haven't been able to include. So like we just got yesterday the Fantastic Four cast. So like they're coming back to the MCU and all that now. So like we haven't seen them since the 2015 weird thing. So I'm really excited for that. I want to see those characters. Um, Ghost Rider. I really want to see a Ghost Rider in live action again. I remember they did one in a TV show. Then they had the Nicolas Cage one for like a 2008 movie. But I just think like with all the stuff we have now, that could be a really cool character to see. And then getting into the villain side too, like for Marvel, like Doctor Doom would be amazing to see come into the live action. Like a couple of the other stuff, like some more of the Spider-Man villains that we haven't seen before, would be really cool. Like hell, anything with the X-Men. There's like so much we haven't seen like in the last few years, or whatever. That would be awesome to see come back. So yeah, there's quite a bit that I would be very happy. So, what about you? What about anything?
I don't know if anyone really stands out. Like I said, I'm not as familiar. I know some of the big name characters, but I don't
Mm,
know. Like I couldn't name off a list of characters or a group that I think would be neat to see.
okay, yeah.
But I will just say this one thing, I thought it was nuts that I read the stat that when the trailer came out, and I'm sure you probably watched it, there was the most viewed trailer in the history of
Yep.
movies, and obviously that's the third Deadpool movie coming out
Yep. Oh, looks
with
so good.
Wolverine. Now, I just want to ask two questions about this, and obviously I'm sure you want to see it. So I'm not even going to bother asking that question, but I just
Okay.
want to ask you your two questions on this. Was a, do you think that like when you see like Hugh Jackman in that thing, like do you think that's going to be like a spoof, like they're just poking fun, like maybe like something that like it's planned, or do you think that it's actually legit? And because like obviously in the famous cartoons, that's what he wore was that yellow outfit. So do you think
Okay.
it's like legit, or do you think that they're going to like make fun of it, and like maybe like Ryan Reynolds' character makes a snarky remark or something like that? What's your opinion on that?
Honestly, I think it'll be a combination of both. I think that they went with the really nice looking comic accurate look, and from the pictures I've seen, it just looks really nice of a suit that they gave him. And
Yeah.
we haven't seen him with the helmet yet, but I feel like they are going to give him the big black kind of helmet look to it, and oh, that'll look so nice. But I still think he's gonna like Deadpool make fun of him and wearing any form of yellow and blue that brightly colored. He'll like make some form of like yellow stop signish joke, or like he'll compare him to like a Sesame Street character, like you look like the Cookie Monster's trying to eat Big Bird, like something like that, like anything, and I just could see him doing that.
Now, this
Oh,
next one's kind of like a two-part question. So, A, I know when he made the movie Logan, he said that he was going to retire the character and he was going to revive it, but now obviously he's back again.
yeah.
So, A, do you think this is his final role as that character? And B, if
Mm.
someone were to replace him, do you think that there's a suitable candidate?
Okay. Honestly, both very tough questions. Um, I don't think that this will be his very last role. I think it's kind of like with Logan, where it's like that was the end of that storyline and that kind of whatever. But when your best friend Ryan Reynolds says, "Hey, I'm Deadpool, and you're gonna get in the suit, or I'm gonna kick your ass," you're gonna get in the suit. So if he asks again, it might happen. So I think we might see him, like, one more time, maybe 2, but I don't think it's gonna be like a, "Hey, I'm back in the role for the next couple century, 100 years," whatever he chooses to pick. And then for the other thing, I can't picture anybody replacing him. I have heard some rumors that even in Deadpool and Wolverine, we might see some, like, other people playing Wolverine. Like,
Okay.
at for one scene I heard, there's, Wolverine sitting at a table, he's in, like, a white suit. Well, in the comics, he wears a white suit and he wears an eye patch, and he's called Patch. So that's like a little alter ego he goes by. So they're like, what if he's Patch in that scene? And they're like, what if that isn't even Hugh Jackman? What if that's somebody else that could be pretending to be Wolverine in that scene? So when he walks up, it's like, you're not Jackman. So they're like, what if that was Daniel Radcliffe, like Harry Potter pretending because people really have fan casted him? I'm like, that I could see being a joke that they would throw in. So like as a joke spoof of like, yeah, you wanted this fan casting, they'll throw him in as like, oh my fucking god, it's Harry Potter, and that will be it. I think that's most likely.
Um, I couldn't think of a candidate myself, but
Mhm.
there is a thing on YouTube. It's like Watch Mojo, and it
Yeah.
was like the top 10 characters that could possibly replace him. This, of
Okay.
course, was made back after Logan
Yeah.
was finished filming, so they didn't know he was coming back for this
Yeah.
role.
100%.
But they had a list of like 9 other characters that could possibly do it, and I'm sure Jackman's probably up there in age. He has to be in his 50s. He has to be
Yeah,
in his
he's up there.
50s.
Yeah.
Um, so I guarantee that whoever they get to cast, they're going to have to get someone
Hmm.
younger, probably like in the 20s or
Yeah.
30s. And I'll make this bold prediction that I know they did have like the somewhat newer like X-Men movies when they had I'm terrible with names, but they had like the younger characters
Yeah.
play their their younger selves, if
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
any sense. You get like it wasn't like Patrick Stewart; it was the other
Yeah.
guy
McAvoy
playing
and
him when he was
Fassbender,
younger.
all that. Yep.
So I know, yeah, exactly. So I know they did those films, but I feel like with anything, over time they're probably going to bring that back, and when they
Okay.
do, I guarantee they're going to have the new character for Wolverine. Like I don't think it's going to happen right away,
Hmm.
but like you just finished saying how they brought the X-Men back to the MCU or whatever
Yeah.
it is. If they're doing something like that, and obviously with this Wolverine and Deadpool thing, they're trying to just obviously blow this whole thing up.
Hmm.
But I'll just say like down the road, and it could be years. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if they brought that back again, because that's what Hollywood does is they wait for X amount of time to pass by and they're like, hey, let's bring a new cast on, but we'll pretty much tell the same story.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
whether they bring back the same guy who played Charles Xavier, or maybe they get somebody new, I'm not too sure. But
Yeah.
again, just my bold prediction is they will have a new like X-Men series at some point, and I truly think that they're going to have a new guy to play to take over Hugh Jackman's role.
Oh yeah, they'll definitely have to. Like he's such a iconic character with the thing. Like there is going to be somebody who can replace him. I just there isn't any actors where I'm like, he gives off the vibe that hasn't already kind of been other characters. Like or is like at the age range. Like Tom Hardy was another one that people have suggested, and like with some art that's gone up, looks great. But again, like the age and has already played like Bane and DC, like certain things make it a little hard. So
Yeah.
it will be really interesting to see who they decide to pick one day, and who knows, maybe it'll be even better than Jackman, but I don't think it will be. It's too great.
Well, I mean, the only person that could outperform Jackman is me. So
I mean, 100%. I could like you're Canadian already, and Alberta. Like,
exactly.
wait,
See,
what part of Canada were you born in?
I was born in the East Coast, but I mean, I'm living in Alberta now.
So there you
So
go. As long as you're in Canada, Alberta, you're there. You're good to go.
I saw this one meme and it made me crack up. And I'm probably going to word it incorrectly, but it was pretty much like, how ironic is it that they have an Aussie and Hugh Jackman playing a Canadian in a movie or something like that. So when I seen that, it kind of made me crack up. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's kind of funny that they didn't at least get an American to play a Canadian or get a Canadian to
Right.
play a Canadian. No, they got this guy from New Zealand, flew him over and like, hey, lose your accent and then just pretend to say a few times.
Yeah, literally, it's they got an Australian man to use an American accent to play a Canadian. It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
100%.
what it was. That's what it was. I remember
That's
the
what it was.
American was in it somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah, it's true. It's like yeah, it's like and then luckily though they fixed it because then they got Ryan Reynolds and it's like all right, you got a Canadian playing Canadian, you're good to go.
There we go. Exactly.
So they're getting
Finally.
closer.
Um, so this is something that I've had discussions with other people, and
Mhm.
I just wanted to kind of run this by you. So I think what would be really cool for a movie series, and I've thought about it. Initially, I thought it'd be cool to do like a 4-part movie series, but I'm like, no, four might be too long. So I think a trilogy would be
Okay.
perfect, especially for the story that I'm going to tell. I have nothing written down, and obviously if someone listens to this, they can easily take this script and go to Hollywood, and I won't get a nickel for it. But
Okay.
I
Yep.
just think this would be kind of neat. Is if you had a protagonist and an antagonist at the start of the first one,
Mhm.
um, but then at the end of the story, so this would obviously be like throughout the second or third movie, they end up flipping roles. So the guy who ends up being the bad guy, you actually feel
Oh.
sympathy for, and then you kind of root for him. Now, I'm not going to say that they're both angels because
Yeah.
there are going to be some crimes that take place. So like they're
Mhm.
not perfect,
Yeah.
but and then the guy who's the protagonist, you end up finding out he has like a dark secret, and then they end up kind of like hating each other, and it ends up being like pretty much like a fist fight. I don't want to do like any. Like, I don't want to have the idea of having any superpowers. Like I want it to be like
Okay.
as it could happen to you or I, kind of a
Okay.
scenario.
So like, honestly, that would be a really interesting thing of like a good guy turning to the bad guy and then a bad guy becoming good, or like you could have so
Yeah,
many reasons of like what could happen. Like
yeah.
I
But
like
this is what I was thinking was like I don't like I've been I can't think of names because I'm still
Mhm.
trying to think of how this whole thing's going to plot out or whatever it is. But this was my idea that I was thinking of was say like at the start of the movie the protagonist, let's just call him, I'll just make up names because I don't want to keep saying
Yep.
protagonist antagonist because I'm going to confuse the f out of you. So let's just
Okay.
say that the protagonist is John
Yeah.
and the antagonist is Anthony. John and Anthony again.
Okay.
Not gonna stick, but these are just ideas that I was thinking about.
Yep.
So at the start of the movie, John would be getting like they're having a party because they're celebrating his new role in whatever company that they have,
Yeah.
and like
Okay.
it could be anything. And I was kind of debating on what company he's working for, but so it's going to start off with that, and then I was thinking was this guy's getting a promotion. Promotion. That's what the word I was looking for.
Yep.
Um, and then like his family's there, his friends are there, and then I was thinking that like this is gonna kind of sound messed up, so that like that
Mhm.
guy's gonna have like a woman and kids, but I was thinking like to start it off was like say the party's just about over, and then maybe like they have a nanny or something like that, then the
Yeah.
nanny takes the kids back to their home. The
Mhm.
guy ends up proposing to his girlfriend, and then obviously they become a family, like a fully legal family.
Yeah.
Um, and then like throughout the story you find out that so pretty much what it is like the first in the first movie he's going to look like
Mhm.
the good guy,
Yeah.
and then the other guy comes around, he's just pissed off all the time.
Mhm.
What I was thinking was, and I'm going to be all over the place, like I'm not going to
Yep.
be able to go like in order, but what I was thinking was these two guys like met in college,
Yeah.
and maybe they had the same class or whatever it was, and then whether it happened then or in the future, they end up having some type of beef, and
Yep.
then what did I say? Anthony was a protagonist, so then Anthony, something happens to him, but I want something to happen like to scar his face, and there's a
Okay.
reason. There's a reason I say this. So it could be something as bad as like a really severe cut or a
Yep.
burn or whatever it is that his face is kind of like deformed and or kind of messed up.
Yeah.
So um, then um, he ends up having to like wear a mask or something to cover his face because he doesn't want anyone to recognize him.
Mhm.
Um, but this is where it's going to get a little tricky. Is that you don't learn right away, but like whoever I said the protagonist was, John, whatever it is, like when he ends up proposing to his girlfriend, well, that actually was that was the antagonist's ex-girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
So then he finds out that they're together, but like this is what I was trying to get at was, so like let's just pretend they're both in school or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and then the antagonist, why do I keep doing this? Anthony and his girl, and they're together. Then that's when
Mm,
the whole beef happens between the two guys, and then his life starts to fall apart because obviously he'll lose his job because he can't show his face, and then he
yeah.
ends up turning into like a life of crime, and then obviously his woman leaves him, and
Mm,
then she ends up meeting John or whatever it is. So
yeah.
I was thinking it'd be kind of like a messed up triangle,
Mm,
and that would really push like Anthony over the edge to do some crazy up shit because like man, like not only did this guy ruin my life,
yeah.
but also he pretty much like stole my woman.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but like I don't know, I have like all these ideas that are like
Yeah.
scrambling through my head, but I just think like the two lines that really come to mind, like so say if it is a trilogy, is at
Yeah.
the end of the first movie, um, like say John and Anthony, like they're duking it out. And then I want like the last line to be like, "Who the f are you?" or "Who the hell are you?" And then he's just about to reveal his face, and then that's when the credits roll. So therefore,
Oh,
if you're
okay.
an audience, you know that there's going to be another movie to come.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the second movie, I want like like John's past to start being revealed. So pretty much
Mm-hmm.
like the first movie is like everything in modern time. The second
Yeah.
movie, I want it to be like flashbacks.
Oh, okay.
So you're
Yeah.
gonna get more of the backstory. So you're not gonna know what actually happened between these two guys until the second movie. You just
Oh,
know
okay.
in your mindset, you're watching the first one, like, man, this guy is evil. He's going after this guy for no reason. But then in the second movie, you realize what really happened and why
Oh,
he's going
okay.
after him. And like, I want, like, I'm not gonna, I don't want any of the kids to get like killed off, but
Yeah.
like maybe like someone's parents or someone's sibling ends up getting killed, and then that just raises the beef with these two guys. And then I
Okay.
was
Okay.
thinking at the end of the second movie, like the guy's wife, so John's wife confronts him and pretty much is going to say something like, "What the hell is going on?" And then end scene credits. So therefore, you're like, "Oh man, the first movie was a cliffhanger. The second movie is a cliffhanger.
Mm,
Therefore, you know a third movie is coming. So that should draw more of an audience."
yeah.
But at the end of the third movie, I still want there to be a cliffhanger. So you're not going to know the actual resolution. Um,
Okay.
and what I was thinking was pretty much it's going to be like open up, like it's up to like you're the
Interpretation.
viewer exactly. So
Yeah.
you can think of your own ending, but you're never actually going to know the actual thing. And then
Mm,
to really put a twist on this is say there's like a detective in between these guys. Say he's friends with one, and then like the antagonist, maybe he gets arrested, and that's the arresting officer or something like that. So
yeah.
then he gets to know both of these guys, but these guys don't know that they both know the same detective. And what I
Mm,
was thinking was like maybe he has like an understudy throughout the whole series, and then at the like the very last scene, I want them to have a conversation like, "Hey, what did you ever hear from so and so, or what do you think actually happened?" And it's going to be like, "No, I haven't heard anything." So again, you're going to be they don't know what happened to those characters. Again, they could have killed each other. They could have just left town.
yeah.
Um, anything could have happened. And that's why I said I wanted to be
Okay.
open to interpretation, like you said. So
Yeah.
it's left you thinking, wow, did this happen? Could this have happened? Like I would just think that would be such a cool movie series that
Yeah.
at the end of each film, you're wondering what the hell is happening next or what's going to happen to this person.
Oh
What
yeah.
do you
Just
think?
intrigue. Like honestly, that sounds like a freaking cool concept. Like I don't know, just mind teasing like something like I don't know. Like I've always liked that where it's like endings, but like you get to kind of come up with your own conclusions or like it's vague enough that like you get a full story, but like life, you don't know everything. Like you're there witness, you're like a witness. So like you see all this stuff happening, but you're not there for everything. Like you're not with the character when he's doing these bad things that they show the flashbacks for. So like you get things revealed to you. So like honestly as a concept, that all sounds fantastic. So like I like it. Get it patented. Like I said, copyright. No more stealing these from you.
But like I said at the start of this idea, someone might come and watch this, like, hey, let's pitch this idea to Hollywood, and then boom, they'll be living like millionaires in a mansion.
Right? No, that's why we gotta get on this right now. We'll just pitch the idea. Boom, we're the millionaires.
All right. Well, I'll go find my Hollywood executive
Agent,
numbers
yeah, right.
right away.
I know a few directors. Just give me a
Yeah, exactly. This will take about a day or so to get figured out.
agreement. We got the actors nailed down. Everybody's signing up. We're good to go.
Exactly.
But yeah,
But yeah,
no.
I got like a crazy messed up mind, kind of like Stephen, whatever his name is, the guy that does all those horror. Stephen King.
Okay, yeah.
I just had this crazy messed up idea,
Hmm.
and then the more I thought about it, the more I was talking about it. Like I said, I bring this idea up to a couple other guys too,
Yeah.
and I mean, if this was somehow able, like obviously I'd have to come up with a script. I would probably take forever to do that, but I just think, you already pointed this out, was
Mhm.
just to leave like the you or I wondering what if this happened, what if that happened. Like you
Yeah,
don't know
right.
what actually happened.
You just
So
don't know everything, and that's the thing. It's like it's the mystery. It's like, yeah, it's intrigue. It's something
I-
gnawing at you. Like, what could it have been? What?
yeah. And the crazy thing is I know I'd have to be very careful when it comes to like titles, but I
Mm.
want it to be like very small and subtle. I don't want to have a great big long thing and be like, oh, two sentences part two, two sentences part three. I was
Okay,
just
yeah.
thinking, I was thinking a really neat name. And again, maybe this is already taken from a TV show or a movie, The Unknown.
Okay. I don't think it's taken by anything, but that's pretty good. I like the
Yeah.
unknown. Honestly, if not the unknown,
Yeah.
something like the idea of like what Tenet did with its name, where it's like Tenet spelled backwards or like flipped upside down or whatever, was still looking the exact same way. So like something where like the word is the same backwards. So like the same way the flipped, like the bad guy and the good guy are flipped, it would
Yeah.
still have that same. So like I don't know what the word would be. I'm no English literaturist, but if there was some word to describe like that kind of dynamic within the story, I think
Yeah.
that would be cool. But the unknown is still a real good one. So
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if I could figure out, I like your idea, I really do. If I
mm,
could figure out a way to get, like you said, that, because then I would kind of play with the plot of the story.
right.
Um, like I said, I just want to have a long sentence or long two sentences, and then like, oh, this again, part two, this again. I just want it to be like very short and sweet,
Yeah.
and it's not like when you watch the first movie, it's not going to be part one because I don't want to give it away that there's always going to be a
Right.
part two. So it's just going to be whatever that is, and then the
Mhm.
second one could be that part two, or that part three, or whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
no. I
Yeah.
mean, if we were living in Hollywood, I could just walk down the street and pitch this idea. But unfortunately, I got two things against me. One, I'm in Canada, and two, I don't have my passport.
Yeah, that's another issue. Yeah, that'll stop, cause a few,
I
issues.
mean, if there's like a Canadian version of Hollywood, maybe I could fly there. But
I I don't know, do we
and then
got,
I
like,
got
a
like
Chinese theater here somewhere?
yeah.
Probably.
I was going to say Bollywood, but that's India, so I'd still have to get a
Yeah,
passport.
we got Collywood or
There we
Candlewood,
go.
something like that. Candlewood, there we go, we're Candlewood.
Maplewood.
There you go, that's what it is, Maplewood, perfect. Hollywood, Bollywood, Maplewood.
So I know I'm probably going to be putting you on the spot, but if you had anything that you could possibly pitch for an idea, and again, this is probably something you'd have to think long and hard about, but if you had, sorry, let me actually rephrase the question. If you had
Mhm.
the choice to come up with a TV series or a movie, which would you prefer?
Oh, uh, I think I would probably do more of like a movie. I honestly, if anything, I like more game pitching ideas. Like I
Yeah,
like concepts for that a bit better. But even for movies, it's like I just like pitching like my superhero concept ideas or like this. Like me and my buddy, we've kind of had our own little superhero universe we've been wanting to make. So like my story was just of like a guy who he had a whole bunch of stuff happened to him, but he eventually was being sacrificed to gain power to somebody else. And in that moment, he actually became the conduit for said power. So they were trying to get it, but then he gained the power himself. So he's been kind of living as an immortal for a long time. So since like 64 AD was the year I chose. So that was
Oh,
the time
wow.
of like Nero, Rome, da da da. And then he's living in modern times and he's running like a museum of artifacts and other things he's collected throughout the years. But he's also a hero who goes around and he kind of just has a mentality of like, I've been here through thousands of years and just I like life. I'm here to celebrate life. I got stories, artifacts, this and that. This is my city, which I want to be like where Rome was, but now it's like years in the future.
Yeah,
So it's like, it's now like a different name. It's whatever. It's just like a city, like urban, cyberpunkish type thing. And now
makes
that's
sense.
like his territory to protect. And it's just a cool concept like that. And I just
That would
like
be
the
a
idea of
pretty,
like an immortal. So like he's just there to fight for as long as he desires until like he can't really pass it on or like when he dies or if he ever passes away, like and he sustains too much damage, he gets put into like what I would call a crucible. So like if he wants to keep going, he fights for the opportunity to go back. I don't know in what way, shape, or form. It could be like a mental thing he has to overcome. It could be like a physical challenge he has to get through. Whatever's kind of affecting him at that moment, like say he's going through a depressive time, he would go through that crucible. So, and then he could come back. And if he ever didn't, he didn't.
that,
So,
that would be pretty neat. I mean, I'd pay to see that, to say the least. That'd be kind of cool.
it would be a pretty interesting thing, but I haven't laid out all the bits. There's a lot of stuff in between, but I don't know. Something about just going through like different time periods as well. And the one scene I'd want the most is it's like maybe as he's fighting or whatever, it would like go through like in the past when he would like learn certain moves or whatever. So like say he was cutting someone a certain way, he learned it from the samurai. Say the way he jumped, it was like learning from like monks back, like something like that, where it's like I just like the idea of like a culmination of like skills and stuff you've acquired all coming together. So,
That would be pretty neat. And
mhm.
I mean, if you were able to get that rolling, I think that'd be make for a pretty good story, to say the least.
I think it'd be fun, but yeah, I definitely like video game ideas more. Like
And
I've
you
always
see,
liked that kind of storytelling.
no, exactly. And you see, you have your passports. All you got to do is just book a ticket, buddy. Boom.
Well, no, hey, that being said,
You
like
beat
if
me.
you like any of the Mass Effect games, like BioWare, they were in Edmonton, so like they're right nearby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like yeah, the people that made Mass Effect 3, I think they were from Edmonton.
Oh, no way.
At least some of them. I don't know which one it was, but I remember, yeah, like BioWare is the company, and yeah, they're based. One of their certain things was in and around us, so
Oh, sweet.
there is something around, but not too much.
But that would probably be more like if they were to pick up your script or mine, that'd probably be more for your end. I can't see them
I
wanting to
mean,
go
probably
after.
now because it's just superhero nonsense because
Yeah,
it's not a full formulated idea. But I think
yeah.
I would prefer yours with a little bit more of like a pre-planned out and some intrigue and interest and mystery.
What I was also thinking was the reason I wanted to do four is because I wanted to have like all four seasons be a part of it. But I mean, I could easily get like two seasons in one movie, one season in the other, and one in the
Okay.
last. Because I wanted to take up, I wanted to be again. I know nothing about geography or whatever it is, but I'd want it to obviously take place in the states. But I'd want it to be where again they experience everything that we do.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um, so what I was thinking was like I didn't want to go for a big city because I feel like that's just very um, popular, I guess, if
yeah.
that's the way I'm looking at it. But I was thinking, and again, I'd have to do more research about different states and cities and stuff like that. But I was thinking maybe one possibility would be like Connecticut. It's close to New
Mhm.
York, but it's not like it's in New York City.
Yeah.
So again, I'd want to just be. I don't want to say something like a small town, but it could be. honestly, like the size of the town could be like what we live in right now. Like it's technically a
Yeah.
city that we live in, so it's close
Mhm.
to the big city, but it doesn't take place, or we're not in the capital. If that makes
Yeah,
any sense.
exactly. Like it's not a small town, like whatever, but it's not a big, New York type. Yeah, I get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, it could. I mean, it doesn't have to take place there. Like hell, it could be like North Dakota. It could be anywhere. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter to me. I just don't want it to take place in a big city. Maybe they have like if so. Say if I were to go with the Connecticut idea or whatever's around New York, maybe like someone has to travel to work, or maybe they have to do some business there, whatever the case may
Okay.
be. So like they still could like there still would be shots in that city, or it'd still be part of the story would still be in there,
Yeah.
but whereas their home life is completely away from all that madness and craziness.
Yeah. Exactly. No. Yeah. That fits perfectly. And honestly, I don't know my geography all that much, so I know nothing about Connecticut or North Dakota, any of that stuff. But yes,
No,
that'd be really
because
cool.
whenever I've seen TV shows or movies, it's either based in New York, it's based in big cities, or it could be
Always.
based in LA or based in Florida. It's just,
Hmm.
or I know Florida's a state, sorry, but it could be like
Yeah, like
anywhere.
Miami type
Yeah,
idea, like all
yeah.
that kind of
So
stuff. Yeah.
it's like this is too predictable. I can already tell there's not going to be no snow. It's just going to be sunshine
Hmm.
and all that other crap. But yeah,
Right.
uh, I don't know. I just think if that was if I could come up with a decent script, I'd have to buy like a couple of notepads. But if I
Mm.
could come up with a decent script, I think that'd be kind of cool to pitch something like that. And for me too, if I and obviously I'd have probably have no say, but unless this went through, but I wouldn't want to have anyone famous. I want to just start by
Okay.
scratch, just have brand new actors, brand
Hmm.
new actresses, whatever it is, because obviously if you have a big name celebrity, it's going to be a big hit because people are going to be drawn to that character.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just want to start fresh, start new. Like you're going
Right.
to be looking at the names, like I don't recognize this person or who the hell is that person, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But I, don't know, I just think as long as they all clicked and whoever's directing and stuff like that could
Hmm.
get them on the same page, I think that'd be kind of cool.
Honestly, and yeah, I don't know about you, but like, as if I was like the director or something like that, and I like kick started a career for those actors basically from that, that'd be a hell of a great feeling too of just like helping
Yeah,
these people do that. Like, that'd be just a win-win, 100% both ways. So.
and it's pretty much like it's a combination of like action, some horror because like I said, there are people that end up getting killed. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
it could be like a thriller. So if
Yeah.
they were still in that genre, drama, I guess if you want to put that in there too, it'd be under like so many different categories.
Yeah.
So if actor or actress was okay in that kind of a thing, maybe that'll help them, like you said, pursue other
Right. Like,
projects.
it would be really cool because yeah, like just like I said, from like the concept of your story, like the three movies as well as it's like one that's just cool. You already got the three movies planned out, so you got three, four if you go with the fourth thing. But you got brilliant start. You have the intrigue of. So you said the first part would end with that, like they don't really know about like the full conflict. Like you're kind of introduced, and then the second one is about explaining through like flashbacks, kind of what's going on through it.
Yeah. So like the first one, like I said, it's just like the antagonist is always going after the protagonist. You don't know why, but
Okay, yeah, yeah,
you're rooting for the protagonist to get the better of him, whether it's him calling the cops and getting this guy arrested. That's why I was thinking that if they had a detective
hmm,
that they both kind of knew,
yeah,
that might help out the story a little bit. But yeah, the first one's pretty much just the two of them, just going back and forth. Well, sorry, shouldn't say go back and forth. But the first one, like the protagonist is like in fear for his life and his wife and his kids because obviously this person's attacking him or going after him or whatever it is that he's doing. And
yeah.
then, yeah, in the second movie, that's when I said I was thinking the flashbacks. You understand more about both of their past. Like maybe
Okay.
if I think I said his name was John, like the main protagonist of the movie, who ends up being
Yeah,
a bad guy. Maybe you find out that like he's been doing some shady stuff like all his
yeah.
life and stuff that like in behind closed doors, and then maybe he did something really shady to get like his promotion. Like he did like pretty much like
Maybe
he
did
looks like
something
the
to the
good
guy.
guy on the outside, but until
Mhm.
you really know who he is, maybe you
Yeah.
find out he's working doing some deals and stuff like that to get where he's at in life. And but then that's what I was thinking. Like if you did the flashbacks, you would find out more. Oh wow, this guy isn't as good as he seems, and then also wow, this guy was a dick in the first movie, but now I can kind of relate because if I was put in that position where like something horrifying happened to my face, and then I ended up
Mhm.
basically losing my life because I was thinking maybe because he loses his job and it starts to go downhill. Maybe he ends up being homeless. Like it gets to that point
Okay.
where
Yeah.
he can't hold a job. Maybe he has to start robbing banks just to try to get some money. Like he's doing anything he can just to try to survive, more or less. And then, yeah,
Okay.
and then yeah. So at the end of the first, like when they're pretty much at each other's face, that's when I wanted the protagonist to be like, "Who the hell are you?" and stuff like that. And the guys
Mhm.
would start to take off his mask, but you don't actually see his face. That's why I want that like build up to the second movie, because at the end of the first, I want the people to be like, "Holy crap, who is this guy? He's about to reveal his face." So when they leave the theater, or if they're watching on TV, whatever it is, they know there's another movie coming up because you can't end a movie like with a cliffhanger like that when the guy's about to reveal who he
Okay.
is. And then I was thinking at the end of the second movie, when you find out more about both their past, then the guy's wife, Angie, I don't know, I don't think I've had a name for her, to be honest with you. That's when she'll confront her husband,
Yeah.
John, whatever it is, and like she's going to be like, "Well, what's going on? Tell me the truth." And then that's
Mhm.
when you're going to be left with like the end. And you're like, okay, well, obviously there has to be something else because this
Yeah.
wasn't resolved. And then I know I'm going to say like a broken record because I've already said this before, but
Mhm.
at the end of the third, it's just going to be you don't know what happens. They're going to be in the movie, but at the
Yeah.
end of the movie, you're not going to see them, and then you're just going to be left wondering, well, what if this happened? Well, what if that happened? And then that's
Yeah.
why I was thinking we had the detective and we had his understudy. Maybe they're the last of that whole thing. And then they're just like, "Have you
Mm.
heard from this guy? You know what happened to that guy?" And it's just like, no, I have no idea. I obviously work out
Yeah.
better dialogue than that, but it's pretty much just like the concept that you have no idea where these guys are. Like I said, they could have both
Yeah.
killed each other. They could have both fled the
Who
city,
knows?
but
So yeah.
obviously they're both unstable. So it's not like the protagonist is going to end up somehow well, I was sorry, it's not like the antagonist is going to end up being like the saint.
Yeah.
Like I said, they both end up doing like really bad
Okay.
stuff, whether it's killing
Yeah.
friends or family, whatever it is. So it's not like one guy settled down and is starting a new life. No, he's like his life is totally messed up, and it's never going to go back to normal. So he has no
Okay.
choice but to act in this way. But like his mindset is, I got to get revenge on this guy because he ruined my
Mm.
life because whatever physically happened to his face that he can't show it, and obviously he ended up stealing his girlfriend
Yeah.
and then having kids of their own. So
Okay. So it's like you
yeah,
did this, you frame like almost like a framed me for this kind of shit, and now you get to live the high
yeah,
life, and then it's like you learn like, yeah, no,
yeah,
he did do this other shit. It's like what
yeah,
happened? So I
yeah.
like it.
And I was also thinking about this too. And again, I don't want to keep rambling on about this because I could probably talk for hours about this subject. But I was thinking like the antagonist, Anthony, or whatever I said his name
Mm.
was, like he finds out where they live and all this other stuff. So maybe he like knows exactly when John goes to work and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
then he ends up crashing their house and then confronting her, and then like he'll reveal who he is because
Yeah.
she has no idea who this guy is. And then I was thinking maybe that'll happen in the second movie because that's like I don't want to reveal who his face is at all
Okay.
in the
Yeah. Yeah.
first. So I was thinking in the second movie, like he confronts her, pretty much saying like, "You left me when I was at my worst for basically this guy who was a complete douche and ruined my life." So he's obviously bitter at both her
Mhm.
and him at the same time. So it's not like he's just pissed off at him. It's like, well, you had the option to stay with me and you left, more or less. So
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there is some bitterness between the two. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So well, guilty parties on everybody's front. We'll see. I like it, and I like the
the
idea of like
crazy thing.
I was just say I
Go
like
ahead.
the detective and the understudy as well as being like kind of like just observing as well like this all this happening. So that's cool as well.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is normally whenever I do these chats, I always have a list of questions. This is all just in my mind.
Oh, nice.
Like
Sweet.
I can show you right now. I had nothing written down. This is just a blank
That's
piece of
sweet.
paper. All these questions that I was firing your way before I went into my story, those are just things that just came,
Oh, yeah.
came to me.
That's what I like. I like when it's just go with the flow. Whatever's happening.
So, just as one last little thing. So if you happen to, go to Hollywood on any vacations, let me I'll let you defer the story to them. And then if anything happens, just be like, yo, man, they like this story. Buy your passport. They need to talk to you.
Yeah, we got. We're getting the passport. I will send you. Just get me a photo. That's all I need.
Go to Walmart, get it done ASAP.
You get it done. They're funding the plane ticket. They got everything taken care of. It's all good. First class.
You just got to get your ass here now before someone else gets this.
I don't care if you got to get in the pet carrier. You're getting here.
I'll just hold on to the wing of the plane. I don't really care.
Just strap me to the back like a kite.
At least I'll be getting some fresh air.
You might get some wind turbulence, but that's okay.
My luck, I'd probably go back to where the fuel's getting shot out and just burn alive.
Hey, there's a guy cooking out there. That's your.
He's extra crispy.
Oh, geez. Man.
Sweet. Well, I got to say, this is amazing. I'm really glad we got to have this chat. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to do this. And I'm sure at some point down the road, I'm like, man, come on, let's do it. Let's do it again. Let's go.
Nah, you don't got to twist nothing. This was fun. I like having these chats. So it's good to just chat about the random shit sometimes.
Yeah. And that's the whole concept of this. Like I said, this channel is, I do my sports stuff and stuff like that, but I'm not here to talk about sports. It's just me shooting the spit. So again, whenever I'm able to bring onto the channel to do this, it's just more like it's just shooting spit, like I said before. So I don't have any intention of being like, well, Brad, you didn't do your research on this team. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Come on, man. You don't know what the scores are? What is the period?
It's something I never want to experience.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's so knowledge. Yeah.
Well, man, I can't thank you enough. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll do this again at some point soon.
Oh, no, I'm more than happy to do it again anytime you want. Well, if I'm not busy, but.
That's it.
Fingers crossed.
Well, again, everyone's got plans, and I mean, I know, I tried to do this before, but you're like, oh, I'm busy. I'm very, very flexible. So if we have to do this on any night of the week, I'll make sure I'm up at least, and then we'll kind of figure things out from there.
Awesome. Nope. More than happy.
Awesome. Well, again, I appreciate you taking the time. I'm done. I'm done. I'm just gonna keep saying the same thing over and over again. Let's just end this before I repeat myself again.
Good, man.
Thanks for joining, man.
Have a good one.
You too, bud. See ya.
See ya.